Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to another live video. On this live, we're going to be talking about NVIDIA. NVIDIA, NVIDIA, NVIDIA. It's making it easy for people to really get rich at this point, right? So we're going to have the conversation about NVIDIA. I'm on here a little later than I normally am, guys, because I had some business to take care of today. But I said I really wanted to have this conversation about this stock because I like to talk about information that's relevant to regular investors, regular what we call retail investors. And so I wanted to have the conversation about this behemoth, huge, monstrous stock and what's happening right now with the stock of NVIDIA. So as you come in, guys, do me a favor and hit the like button, but also let me know where you're coming in from. What city, what state, what county, what country, what continent, what hemisphere, whatever galaxy you're in. Let me know where you guys are from. I want to have this conversation about NVIDIA Corporation, ticker symbol NVDA. It's a public American semiconductor company, and it's huge right now. And there's a lot to talk about NVIDIA right now. And I thought we'd have this conversation, right? Hey, Jackson County, Bill, good to have you here. Ohio's in the house. Art of War, good to have you here. Guys, let me know with a thumbs up if you can hear me. Art of War gave me one. Let's see here. Buy now or after the split, somebody said right off the bat, right? KC Mo, good to have you here. Kathy Librarian is here. Good evening to you. Madison, Wisconsin. Jamie, good to have you. We got Detroit, Michigan's in the house. We got folks from all over. Philly is in the house. The city of brotherly love with the big old bell. I think that's where it's at. Or is that in Philadelphia? We got somebody from Port St. Lucia, Florida. Good to have you here. Somebody said, I'm invested in NVIDIA. Yes, this is going to be very relevant to have this conversation. Hey, North Idaho is good here. Good to have you here. Thank you for the heads up on that excellent sound quality. Thank you so much. Mia from Atlanta is here. June 10th, a good Monday. Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll get there. Aurora, Illinois is here. Good to have you here, Clint. And good to have you here, Pamela, as well from Atlanta. I bought it back when it was when I got my 1080 a few years ago. Yeah, full disclosure, I heard about NVIDIA literally about 3 years ago when it was probably around $200 per share or something like that. And now it's like, what in the world is going on? So I want to talk about NVIDIA, guys, and just have a regular old conversation. And we'll pull up some screens and look at some stuff. I'm gonna go a little bit into who they are, what they are, etc. But then I also want to talk about whether or not you should be invested in them, because I talk all the time on this channel about, hey, I'm an ETF investor. I'm not a single stock investor. I don't like single stocks that much. So if you're an ETF investor, you're going to miss out on the larger gains of NVIDIA. But if you have ETFs and index funds, you're going to get some of the gains, right? Just not as much as if you were a single investor in the single stock itself. But what they do, and I pulled up their website, guys, to kind of understand and I just want to talk about them first. So we know a little bit more about NVIDIA and we can dig into them a little bit. It's a public American semiconductor company. And what they really design is like they design and manufacture GPUs, right? The graphic process units. They're huge in the AI space, right? Programming interfaces and things like that. They do chips and systems and so forth. They got they're one of the leading folks as far as semiconductor chips. And so they're big, big, big in the AI space, right? They hold about as far as semiconductor, I think I read an article that said they hold, or I might have read it on their website. They hold about 80% of the global market share of semiconductor chips, right? So they're a big player in that, right? And obviously, as I mentioned, the AI hardware, AI software, they got this new thing out called NVIDIA Blackwell or something like that. It's the latest technology and accelerators and all that good stuff. AI, quantum computing, data analytics. I mean, the thing about NVIDIA that's important to know is that they're playing in a lot of these spaces. They're not just AI, right? They're playing they're designing, they're manufacturing, they're providing software, they're providing hard. They are playing in so many spaces with this new sort of revolution of AI, that one space might be be a little down, but this space is booming. So they're playing their cards in a lot of different hands, and that's why I think I read that they moved up to the number three by market cap, number three company on the stock exchange, right? So very, very, very important. If you're not invested in NVIDIA as a single stock, this talk right here is going to be something you want to pay close attention to. Guys, hit the like button for me as you come in. Just hit that thumbs up for me. And also, you might want to, if you know somebody that's a new investor that's thinking about investing, you may want to go ahead and share the link with them so they can kind of hear some of this information. We're going to dig not too deep, but we're going to get a feel for what NVIDIA is and what's going on, why they are growing the way that they're growing. Right? Hey, Mrs. Moore, good to have you here, Mrs. Moore. South Australia is here, investing in SP 500 and NASDAQ ETFs for my exposure. Congratulations to you, Charlie. Let's see here. Bought some partial shares. So we got some folks that bought some partial shares. You're going to be in good shape because NVIDIA is doing a 10-to-1 forward stock split soon. And we'll talk about that as well. But let me share my screen with you guys if I can. I just want to go over some things about. You can go to NVIDIA's website. If you're interested in investing in NVIDIA or you're thinking about it, want to do some research, you can go over to their website. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys and just hang in. We're just going to have a real informal conversation about NVIDIA, what they are, who they are, why they're growing, and maybe towards the end of this, you might be able to make a decision if you want to jump in on NVIDIA, if you want to purchase a share. If you purchase one share today, in about 2 weeks, about 2 weeks, that'll split up into 10 shares, right? If you purchase a share, right? And I don't know if you guys can see my screen. I think I can, but I'm going to get out of the screen so you can see it a little better and blow it up a little bigger. Let's see here. So we're in the newsroom now. Yeah, newsroom, press release. NVIDIA announces, and this just happened a couple of days ago. Yesterday. NVIDIA announced financial results for their first quarter fiscal year, right? Their first quarter fiscal year 2025. And I'll just kind of go through some of the highlights. Record quarterly revenue of 26 billion, up 18% from the previous quarter, and up 262% from a year ago. That is incredible growth. Okay. And then they say record quarterly data center revenue. They have a data center, 22 billion, up from 23% in fourth quarter and up 427% from a year ago. 10-for-1 forward stock split effective June 7th, right? Quarterly cash dividends raised, not much on the dividends, no big deal, right? It says NVIDIA today reported revenue for the first quarter ended April 28th, just a few weeks ago, of 26 billion. That's their overall revenue, up 18% from the previous quarter. 18% growth of revenue, top line. That's tremendous. Up 262% from last year. Tremendous. I can't stress the growth enough. And many experts are saying, and we'll get to a few articles here, that it's just started. So it says for the fourth quarter, for the quarter, GAAP, which is general acceptance accounting principles. Earnings diluted share was $5.98, up 21% from the previous quarter, and earnings diluted shares were up 629% from a year ago. The next industrial revolution has begun. This is a quote. Companies and countries are partnering with NVIDIA to shift the trillion-dollar traditional data centers to accelerated computing and building a new type of data center, AI factories, to produce a new commodity, artificial intelligence. You guys remember, and that was by that quote, end quote, was Jensen Huang, founder and CEO. AI will bring significant productivity gains to nearly every industry and help companies be more cost and energy efficient while expanding revenue opportunities. My landscapes. Does anybody in here, is it just me? Does anybody in here remember the movie called I, Robot? Where you had all these intelligent beings. I think Will Smith was in that movie. It really makes you think about a movie like that, right? These data centers as the CEO said, AI factories, right, to produce a new commodity, artificial intelligence. He says our data center growth was fueled by strong and accelerating demand for generative AI training. And just so you know what generative AI is like, AI that can do its own thinking and can predict and can think about what's going to happen next and generate its own artificial intelligence based on previous data, right? That's what generative AI is. It's just not like regular AI. It's AI that's thinking forward, so to speak. And inference on the Hopper inference on the Hopper platform beyond cloud services provides generative AI has expanded to consumer internet companies. So it means that Meta is a customer of NVIDIA. Microsoft is a customer of NVIDIA. Amazon is a customer of NVIDIA, right? All of these internet platforms and internet companies and tech companies, they all go to NVIDIA as their leading source of AI stuff, so to speak, right? It says, and he goes on to say, we are poised for our next wave of growth. The Blackwell platform, which supposedly replaced that Hopper platform, is in full production and forms the foundation for trillion parameter scale generative AI. Man, it's here. The future is here. NVIDIA also announced, and this is on NVIDIA's actual website here, guys. NVIDIA also announced a 10-for-1 forward stock split of NVIDIA's issued common stock to make stock ownership more accessible to employees and investors, right? The split will be effected through an amendment to NVIDIA's restated certificate of incorporation. And it goes through some numbers, and I can go really, really deep in these numbers, guys. If we wanted to, I can dig into it, see what they hold, what they don't hold. But it beat all projections. And here's their outlook. This is a general summary page on their website, and it's part of one of their press releases. Their outlook for the second quarter fiscal year revenue is expected to be 28 billion, plus or minus 2%. GAAP and non-GAAP gross margins are expected to be at 74.8 and 75. I don't want to go too deep into all that. GAAP is just how they are supposed to do their accounting principles per the SEC and all that good stuff. And it talks about its data center a lot. First quarter revenue record, blah, blah, blah. So there is a lot. And gaming, I mean, you guys know how big gaming. If you don't know how huge the gaming industry is, you're behind already. The gaming industry is so big. Look, I do voiceovers. And the gaming industry is, and so there's a lot of voiceover work in gaming, but the gaming industry is like a dozen times bigger than the movie industry. Okay. A dozen times bigger, or more than a dozen times bigger than all of the bigger industries that you can think of. So gaming is huge. And where's AI used a lot? In gaming, not just with. So what I'm seeing with AI is I'm seeing that AI is going to be as transformative, if not as if not more than as the internet itself, right? Although it's an enhancer to the internet, it's going to be If you notice, guys, I don't know where you work, but wherever you work, I guarantee you somebody's in the back thinking about how AI can help make your business where you work more efficient. And if they haven't already rolled out something, they're about to roll out something. I don't care where you work, whether it's the bakery, construction, it doesn't matter. Everybody's looking to AI. So who is the big player in AI? The biggest player is NVIDIA, right? It's NVIDIA. The huge player right now is NVIDIA. So without going too deep into who NVIDIA is, by the way, if you're curious, and I'll just share this with you too, because when you're talking about perhaps maybe investing in something like NVIDIA, an individual stock, you got to do a lot of different research. You got to look at a lot of different things, right? And so as you look at a lot of different things, it's important for you to have your, I don't know if it's ear to the grind, nose to the grind in a lot of different places rather than just one place. Oh, I saw something on MSNBC. No, you got to go deeper than that. You got to go deeper than that. And so let me just give you this brief about NVIDIA. NVIDIA is tackling challenges no one else can solve. Our work in AI and digital twins and transforming. This is also them on their website, NVIDIA in brief. Key stats founded in 19, did I say 19? Yeah, 1993, founded by Jensen Huang, who is still the CEO, right? He's still the CEO. He's the founder and CEO. Been around a long time. Lots and lots and lots of stability in this fast growing company, right? This thing is growing like a startup, and it's not a startup. It's a 30-year-old company. 27,000 employees in 50 locations, 18 billion in revenue that's quarter three of last year. So we know it's more than that. We just read it's more than that. But this is kind of a snapshot that they had in one of their briefs on their website. And all these numbers have probably changed or gone up by now, obviously. So NVIDIA, if I may be introducing NVIDIA for the first time for some of you, and that's cool. Now, the other thing is June 7th, they're doing a 10-for-1 stock split. So that means if you buy a share today, and let's see what NVIDIA closed at today. I didn't even look at what they closed at. Looks like they closed at over 1,000 per share. 1,037 is what they closed at. Huge. Let me show you guys this real quick so you can see the growth that I'm talking about real quick. This might blow your mind just to kind of give you a feel for this growth. All right. I want to give you a feel for this growth. We're talking all things NVIDIA today. And that's why we're talking about NVIDIA is making it easy for people to get rich. Guys, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up for me real quick if you can, please. Really would appreciate that. But let me show you their stock share so you can understand what we're looking at. We're talking about here. And I did share my screen. Yep, kept myself small in the corner. Closed at 1,000, over 1,000 per share. So let's say that they end on June 6th. They end the day at $1,000 per share. A 10-to-1 split just means now if you own one share, now you're going to own 10 shares. And shares are going to then be trading at $100 per share. They're just taking the one stock and splitting it into 10, right? So if you own one stock, one share of their stock right now, you're going to own 9 more shares, right, on June 7th. So just to give you an idea of what they've done over 5 days, they had a big boost right here when they started. This is leading up to their earnings, right? Leading up to the anticipation that their earnings report was going to come out and it was going to be favorable, right? Over the month, you can see some growth. Let's go with over the last 5 years, right? Imagine if in 2020, you could have bought a share. In 2020, this day, 2020, in May of 2020, you could have bought a share of NVIDIA for $90. One share for $90, right? If you had bought that one share for $90, that share would be worth $1,000 today. That's a tenfold. Let's say you had bought 10 shares for roughly $1,000. Actually, 10 shares for $900. 4 years ago, 10 shares for $900, right? Today, that $900 would be worth close to a little over $10,000. That's the growth that we're looking at with NVIDIA. Okay, $90. If you had said, you know what, I'm going to get this thing in 2022, right? You could have still bought a share for 146. So that's the level that it's grown to. It's trading for 1,000 right now. Huge, ginormous. I mean, incredible growth, right? Why would they want to? Okay, let me just answer this question because it may come up or you may be thinking about it. Why would they want to do a stock split, right? There's a few reasons why companies do these stock splits. Sometimes it's a 2-for-1, 3 for whatever. But they're doing a 10-for-1. When they increase the number of shares outstanding and reduce the price per share from 1,037 down to say $100 per share, the stock becomes more affordable for a wide range of investors, guys. It becomes more affordable. There might be one of you that said, wow, $1,000 per share. I can't get $1,000. I can't get up $1,000 just to get one share. Yeah, I can buy some fractional, but I want a full share and I don't have $1,000. Well, when they split it and they make each share $100, now guess what? Man, I got 200 bucks. Let me go buy 2 shares, right? It makes it more affordable for us regular retail investors, right? So now we can jump in and buy and sell and no big deal. I can do it with 200, I can get a couple of shares, which and also it's kind of attractive, right? It a lower stock price becomes psychologically more attractive for us regular retail investors, right? Sometimes again, we're deterred by something that costs 800 bucks per share or 1200 bucks per share, less intimidating to buy something that's 100 bucks per share, 90 bucks per share, right? So there's a perception of affordability for us as retail investors, right? So this is something else to make sure you understand. Just because if you own 1 share and they do a stock split, you don't really gain anything by that, right? You just now have 10 shares at $100 instead of having 1 share at $1,000. You haven't gained anything as an investor. They just took your 1 share and split it, or they took your 2 shares and split it into 20, right? But it gives a perception that is favorable, right? It's like I said, it's psychological when they do these stock splits, and they make it seem like it's more affordable and attractive, but it's really the same stock, right? And so that it keeps their stock within a range that the perception is that it's affordable, right? That's attractive to a lot of investors, right? It also is a signal. Here's another thing that's very important to note when these stocks split like this. It's a sort of a signal to us investors that the company itself is confident. The company itself, they know that their future performance is positive and they think they're going to grow. That shows us as investors that, hey, that's pretty cool. If they know that this is going to be affordable, and in 2 or 3 years, instead of $100 per share, it might end up being two and three and $500 per share again. That gives us confidence as investors that they're confident as a company in terms of their future performance. It's really something to think about, sort of psychological. It sort of says we expect this stock to increase. We expect this company to continue to grow at a great pace, right? So the other thing to note is that sometimes there's competitors, right? Right now, NVIDIA has a large share of the market, right? In terms of what they do. But guarantee you, there are competitors. Now, one thing you might be interested in doing as a person who's looking at individual stocks is to look at some of NVIDIA's competitors to see if there's another NVIDIA out there, right? Perhaps there's another company who maybe only has 4%, 5% but it's growing, it's strong. They have good infrastructure. They have a solid CEO. They have a solid game plan, good earnings, maybe not super duper, but they're looking better and better. And because you guys know that there's always going to be competitors in a space. A company can only dominate a space for so long, right? It might be 2 years, it might be 20 years. We don't know, right? But one of the things that a company like NVIDIA wants to do is they want to lower their shares so that they can look and remain competitive with other competitors. Because if you have another potential NVIDIA that only has a 4% market share in that space that NVIDIA's at, and their shares of stock are selling for 80 bucks, but NVIDIA's over here selling for 1,037, you might start looking more favorably at that $80 per share company that's their competitor, right? NVIDIA understands this. So they want to stay competitive and align themselves with their competition in terms of their individual stock price, right? Something to think about, right? Again, it makes this whole thing more accessible to regular, average, everyday investors like me and you, right? So, what we're talking about, guys, do me a favor and smash that like button. What we're talking about is the fact that NVIDIA, this strong, this powerful behemoth of a company who started off in 1993 and whose stock share or shares of stock were only at 140 bucks a few years back, is now went over the $1,000 mark per share, and they are making it easy for people to get rich, right? They really, really are. I mean, I've heard, you know, uh, dozens of experts over the last few days talk about NVIDIA, and they're all glowing, right? I mean, they're literally glowing from NVIDIA, from being in the gaming and AI space, from being in the semiconductor space to being in these data centers. NVIDIA has a hold on this whole AI thing right now, right? And they are literally blowing the roof off this thing. Let me share something else with you guys real quick. I want to share another article with you that I just read here, um, talking about these earnings. And I think this article just came out yesterday or today. Let me share the screen, which you love sharing my screen, man. That's kind of fun. Let's see here. Here it is right here. And I'll make sure I'm in the corner here. Good, I'm in the corner. So, NVIDIA earnings top expectations. By the way, that's another thing. There were high expectations. NVIDIA blew those expectations out the water as sales soar amid booming AI demand. Booming AI. The chip maker also announced a 10-for-1 split, which we just said. So, NVIDIA reported fiscal first quarter earnings Wednesday that beat analysts' expectations and surpassed the increasingly high bar set by its investors as data center sales surged to record high amid booming demand for AI. Shares gained following the release. NVIDIA reported record revenue, boom, boom, boom. NVIDIA's income, net income, that's net income, right? Came in at a whopping 14.88 billion or 5.98 per share, as I mentioned earlier. Anything else new? Each shareholder as of market close on Thursday, June 6th, will receive 9 additional shares of their common stock to be distributed after the market close the following day. The stock is expected to begin trading on a split adjusted basis as the market opens Monday, June 10th. Could be a big day. The company also announced it will increase its quarterly cash dividend to 10 cents per share. So not much on the dividends, but still enough. The next industrial revolution, and this goes on to quote what we just talked about earlier. Let's see here. So another article. Just want to share that with you guys as well. There's so many articles about it because so many people are winning. So many people are getting rich off NVIDIA. And if you bought, guys, let me know if you have a share, 2 shares, 10 shares. Let me know. You don't have to tell me how many shares, but do you own NVIDIA? Let me know in the comment section or in the chat. Let me know if you actually own NVIDIA, because I want to talk about something that's pretty important. As I said before, I am an ETF guy. I am an index fund guy for the most part, right? I am an index fund and ETF guy for the most part, right? But NVIDIA is exactly why some people love individual stocks and don't like ETFs or don't like index funds. NVIDIA, what's happening to NVIDIA is the exact reason many people they prefer individual stocks, right? Anybody in the chat own NVIDIA? I think I saw earlier somebody said, yeah. Let's see. Somebody said, I just added to fund today. I'm not sure what you're talking about there. As an ETF or mutual fund, I think you guys are talking here. If you had bought NVIDIA 4 years ago at 90, it would be 1,000 today. Absolutely. That's crazy growth, guys, in 4 years. Somebody said, I've got Taiwan Semi, and they've done well for me over the years. So, Pamela, there's a possible competitor that you should consider if you like individual investing in. Let's see. Somebody says I have Posen. Is that Posen? I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Pamela said, yes, I own NVIDIA. Just Mamba said, I have quite a bit. And somebody says, I have a position in it. Good. So some of you have some good exposure to it. And somebody says, I have 3 shares. Frank said 3 shares. So 3 shares, Frank's going to end up with 29 shares on June 10th. 29 shares at whatever the split, whatever the amount is at that point, right? But let's talk about why people enjoy individual stock picking as opposed to ETFs, right? Because that's an issue. Guys, do me a favor. Don't forget to hit that like button. I got some free stuff in the description box. Also, check out Mint Mobile. I'm a user and a fan. If you want some inexpensive premium wireless services, you can feel free to check out my link below to Mint Mobile. Really solid. Recently purchased by T-Mobile, I believe. Was it T-Mobile? I think T-Mobile. So check out Mint Mobile if you need some premium wireless services that are great. and are inexpensive, and you're tired of your others, your AT&Ts or Spectrum, whatever you have. I don't know what's out there, Verizons and so forth. Check out Mint Mobile and hit the like button and share the link to this if you know somebody who's considering investing or thinking about NVIDIA as a potential, or having some exposure to NVIDIA. Let's see here. You can afford to be ETF smart, but you can afford to be ETF. Yeah, I can. Some of us are just, oh no, hey, Alvira, I'm a regular person too. Somebody said diversification is for people who don't know how to pick stocks. Warren Buffett. Hey, Zach, you call UK. I am one of those folks. I need some diversification. Somebody says I'm DCAing, dollar cost averaging, into NVIDIA, but more in my ETF VTI, and it's cool too. Somebody says I own it through an app called Stash. NVIDIA is the only single stock I own. I only do mostly ETFs and index funds. But let's talk about somebody. Last comment, June 10th, buy NVIDIA. It's a home run. Somebody said, or not somebody, but this is important to note. Here are some reasons why NVIDIA is the poster child for people who don't like index funds and ETFs, right? Here's the one. You guys know that ETFs and index funds, they are not designed to beat the market, to outperform the market, right? But when you invest in an individual stock, the individual stock, especially, newer or smaller or companies that are on a rise for a particular reason, like NVIDIA, they can offer higher, sometimes significantly higher, like NVIDIA, significantly higher returns on your money compared to a really, really diversified ETF, right? So while NVIDIA is going up 200 and 300%, your S&P 500 ETF is going up, 20%, 15%, 25, 30%. So a lot of people say, I like individual stocks because now I have an opportunity to actually significantly outperform the market if I pick my stocks correctly, right? And I can get some huge gains like a NVIDIA. But if you're in that mind frame, you got to remember you can also suffer some huge losses, which maybe some of you that are invested in Tesla may have experienced in the last 3 months, 6 months or so, right? So there's that upside and there's that downside. You have to, and here's why I want to bring this out, because when you're investing in the stock market, guys, single stocks, individual stocks, ETFs, index funds, whatever, you always have to consider risk. And if you want to be a savvy, good, solid investor, consider the risk at everything. Even with NVIDIA, there's risk, right? The other thing is some investors that like individual stocks over ETFs and index funds, they just simply believe that they have the ability to pick stocks that are going to actually outperform the market. And they believe that if they research hard enough, they do their analysis well enough, and they utilize any intuition they may have, that they can pick and choose winners, like NVIDIA. Some of you in here, you may have had NVIDIA for the last 5, 6, 7 years. You saw what was coming, right? But if you have all your money in an ETF, it doesn't matter what you see. You can't do anything about it. You can't outperform the market. You can just mirror the market, right? So, and then people like that control, right? That control of the individual stock picking, which they have to give up control if they're investing in ETFs and index funds, right? Because with an individual stock, you have direct ownership. You own the individual stock, and it provides a sense of, hey, I'm in control to pick whatever specific companies I want, which for some people can be more satisfying, right? For than sitting here and allowing the fund manager who manages the ETF to pick and choose what goes in it, right? So, and a lot of people just like being engaged like that with single stocks, and that's cool. Some people really, really enjoy the game and gamesmanship of individual stock picking, right? Researching companies, looking at 10Qs, looking at profit loss statements, looking at balance sheets, analyzing CEOs, CFOs, and their movements, and listening to. Hey, some people just like to listen into the quarterly earnings or the yearly earnings message from the CEO, right? And use that to make a decision. If you like that gamesmanship, individual stock picking is for you, and ETF index is not. And maybe you can have a little bit of both, right? Some people love that level of engagement. Some people hate that level of engagement, right? Again, also, when you have your own individual stocks, you get to customize your portfolio how you want it. Now, you could customize your portfolio with ETFs and index funds, great. But you really get to customize things when you actually are picking your own stocks. People love that. They love to be able to tailor their portfolio however they want to tailor it, right? They love to be able to invest in the specific companies that they love and enjoy, right? They get to choose. Some people love that. You don't have that much flexibility with ETFs and index funds, right? There's a lot of reasons, and I want to bring out these reasons because sometimes you'll hear me do videos on here about why people love index fund investing and ETF investing. But there's a lot of people that love individual stock picking, and NVIDIA is is a prime example of why people love doing their own individual stock picking, right? Very important. Individual people that invest in individual stocks, they can also be quick to the draw. They can get on it. They see something, they can get on it. Can't necessarily do that with ETF. You can get on an ETF, but ETF's a bucket of stocks, right? It just happens. Some people think they can be the Michael Jordan of individual stock picking, right? The Warren Buffett of individual stock picking, right? That's cool. Nothing wrong with that, right? Of course, you have like social clubs and people that get together with friends and want to talk individual stocks and all that. That's great. That's cool. Great. People love it. I'm not the person that wants to do some of those things, right? So I choose that a really big piece of my portfolio is in ETFs and index funds mirroring the market because I'm just more of that set it and forget it. But some people, they love it, right? And it drives these individuals to do their own individual stock picking. And, hopefully they're not looking down at people that do ETFs and so forth. Let's see here. Did I get somebody else that said they actually had it? How do I start investing? I'm a dummy. Boom, boom, boom. One of the things you want to do, Anis Raja, is you're doing the right thing right here. Listening to podcasts and videos like this that talk about investing in a more practical way. I'm not showing you a bunch of charts. We're not going through the candlestick and and telling you. I'm not doing any of that, right? You can do that at your own research on your own leisure. What we're doing is this is kind of an introduction to individual stock picking and talking about something that's going crazy. This is my urgent message, right? That NVIDIA is a single stock that's blowing the doors off. And they're making it easy for many people, regular retail investors, to get rich, right? And I'm not saying throw all of your money in one stock. You never want to do that, right? Let's see here. I want to buy a lot of stock from NVIDIA. Yeah, just make sure NVIDIA is not your only stock, right? And that if you do, okay, that NVIDIA is not your only investment, that you have other investments besides just one stock. You don't want to have one stock. Somebody said, would you rather have Walmart stocks that are reasonably cheap with dividend or something that will grow faster like Amazon? It depends, right? Some people love these growth stocks these growth stocks that are fast growing companies. Some people love the more value stocks that are the stocks that are slow growing but pay a good dividend, and they don't have these huge upswings, right? Because they also don't have the huge downswings. The Walmarts, the AT&Ts, those type of players, Procter and Gamble. Those are your value stocks. Just like you have value ETFs and value index funds. Value just means they pay a pretty good dividend. They're very solid, very stable, not going anywhere, as opposed to growth stocks that have a little more upswing, a little more downswing, a little more volatility, a little more risk involved in growth stocks. But that's really an individual question. Monk Mode, I think is the name here. Frank, I'm an Air Force veteran. Thank you for your service, Frank. I have a friend that bought NVIDIA when it was $3 per share. He bought 100 shares. My landscapes. 100 shares of NVIDIA today. Let me do my calculations. What's 100 times 1,000? I'm not that good, guys. 100 times, I know you got to just add it, put a zero on the other end or something. I was asleep during that portion of math in the 6th grade. So it's 100,000. He bought 3 shares. He bought $300 worth of NVIDIA. Now it's worth 100,000. Sheesh. Am I saying that right? $300 is now worth 100,000. My goodness, Frank, shake that man's hand when you get a chance. Are you invested in NVIDIA right now? If so, are you going to buy? Yes, I do have a little bit of NVIDIA. I bought it a while back, and I held on to it, just kept it. Don't have a ton, but just a little bit. I have a few individual stocks. Most of my portfolios, ETFs, index funds, real estate, but I do have a few NVIDIA. I held on to it, and thank goodness it's killing the game right now. D. Grant, let's see, Clint. Um, just open up a Charles Schwab. Good. Thanks, Clint, for bringing that information over to Raja. I got it at $20, but it didn't make me crazy rich. I didn't buy enough, but it's made it to where I only need to work 10 hours a week. That's pretty good, Just Mama. Fantastic. Let's see here. I'm using Moo, boom, boom, boom. Let's see here. Okay. So let's see. Another thing I want to talk about. Well, I won't go there. I was going to go deeper and deeper and deeper. I won't go deeper because I don't want this to be a super duper long live. This live is to say, my question to you is, are you going to buy NVIDIA if you don't have NVIDIA? And what is the incentive that makes you want to purchase NVIDIA at this point? Will you buy it if you don't buy it? And if you do have it, if you don't own it already, do you plan to buy more NVIDIA? Does the stock split really do it for you, kind of in a psychological way to say, hey, once they do the stock split, and I anticipate, guys, let me say this. If you look at NVIDIA, let me go back to NVIDIA. I just want to say this because I don't know if you guys know this or not, but I'll say it here. When you look at NVIDIA, let me pull that back up again. I want to see what they closed at. Give me 2 seconds. Let me pull them up real quick, guys. Give me a second here. I'm going to pull them up. Let's see here. Let me see. Give me a second here. Okay, I'm going to pull them back up because I'm going to show you something. Just because I want you to understand that just the mention of what's going on in the last couple of weeks has been huge for the stock. So I'm sharing my screen. Hopefully you guys can see it if you're here on YouTube. But when we look at 5 days ago, NVIDIA hit an all-time high at 159. Now it's down to 137. But if you look at, say, just May 20, what is this? Let's see here. I'm still on May 22nd. Okay, if you just look back to say May 20th, guys, this is really, really important for you to know. I don't know if you can see this big enough or not, but on May 20th, NVIDIA was trading at $925. I'm sorry, May 17th. May 17th. That's 6 days ago. At the opening bell, that'll be 7 days ago. Tomorrow. It was trading at $925. Okay. And if you just leading up to the next 6 or 7 days, now it's trading at 1,037. Guys, that's almost 100. That's over $100. That's $112 per share more. Right? Actually, I think I said it right. No, May 17th. So that's like $100 per share in a week, less than a week. That's amazing. And that happens to a lot of companies when we're leading up to their earnings report. Okay. So that shift, you see that shift sometimes, but that amount of that big of a shift, that's huge. So the talk around, this is why I wanted to do this video, because the talk and the chatter around this NVIDIA as a company, it's been big for the last year or two, right? But now all of a sudden, huge. So the question becomes, are you going to go ahead and purchase more NVIDIA after it splits? Are you going to purchase NVIDIA right now before it splits, get you a couple of shares? Or are you going to actually refrain, stay out of it? Let them do what they do. I'm an ETF person. I'm an index fund person only. Listen. If you have an index fund, let's say you have the S&P 500 ETF. If you have the S&P 500 ETF, you already have NVIDIA, right? What is the ticker symbol? Is it VOO or VTI? Let's say VOO. VOO Holdings. Well, VOO is the ticker symbol for Vanguard's S&P 500 ETF. Right? So I'm going to share something with you here real quick, guys. Let me stop presenting this one. And let me share this one with you real quick because I want to show you that This is important to note too. If you have VOO, for example, I'm just using VOO as an example. If you have VOO, which is the S&P 500 ETF for Vanguard, and we go all the way down, we look at what they are, super duper low expense ratio, right? Super duper low. Let's see here. There's its ratings. There's its performance and fees. It's performed year to date 5.97, 10-year 12 almost 12.5%. Expense ratio is very low. And I want to go down here to holdings. What's in it, right? What's their top 10? So if we look at holdings, is it VOO? Yeah, VOO. If we look at holdings, IT, 29%, 30% of VOO, which is the S&P 500, is technology already. Now let's look at its specific holdings. What, 6% of it is Microsoft, a customer of NVIDIA. 5.83% is Apple, a customer of NVIDIA. There's NVIDIA taking up 5% of your VOO. If you're invested in the S&P 500, you got NVIDIA. You don't have it as an individual stock, but you got it in your bucket of stocks. In your bucket of stocks called your, if it's Vanguard, VOO ETF. So you're enjoying a piece of this action with NVIDIA already. And then, of course, there's Amazon, which is a customer of NVIDIA. And then there's Alphabet, Google, Class A. There's Meta, Class A. Also customers of NVIDIA, right? So, hey, NVIDIA is poised to benefit from all of these top holding companies in the S&P 500. So you have a piece of it already if you have a ETF that includes a large percentage of IT, right? So don't fret if you say to yourself, I am just an index and an ETF person, and I hold in NVIDIA in my bucket of stocks. I just don't own it as an individual stock, right? I just want to share that for people that understand, so people understand, hey, you don't have to have the individual stock, right? Let's say here, Ford, Wendy's, Walmart, Philip Morris, my dividend investments for now. Cool. Those are value companies that have been around for a long time. My brother-in-law owns over 2,000 shares of NVIDIA, and he sells covered calls. Absolutely. Makes money that way. Fantastic. If you buy a fractional share, how will the split affect you? Well, let me go back. Before I do that, let me recognize Just Mamba, new member. Thank you so much, Just Mamba. Good to have you here. Thanks for hitting the like button. Thanks for signing up. Thanks for being a subscriber. I appreciate you. Fractional shares, I think they will be dispersed in a fractional way, depending on what you own, what you don't own. Okay. Let's see here. Hope I got to that. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. There's so many guys. I'm trying to get to them. Smart Money Bro. Yes, I'm trying to buy stocks in all the Mag 7. That's cool. Now listen to me, D Grant. I want to warn you on something. If you're a person that says, I only want to buy in the Mag 7 right now, and it says ETFs, my rates are low, but every 2 weeks I'm buying. Great. Keep your ETFs. But let me explain something to you about the Mag 7. The Mag 7 changes. And when the Mag 7 changes, you as an individual retail investor who do not have a team of people around you watching your position, watching your exposure, watching your portfolio, it's just you. The Mag 7 changes. So when one company falls out of the Mag 7, aka, i.e. Tesla, when a company falls out of the Mag 7, are you savvy enough to know when to sell? Right? You got to realize this, guys. Every company in the Mag 7 today, I think the top 10 holdings in the S&P 500 today, top 10 companies in the S&P 500, there was only one of them, I believe, that was the top 10 companies about 15, 20 years ago. So the point is that since you're an individual investor, if you're investing in the Mag 7, just understand that those Mag 7 companies will fall. When they fall, when to let go, sell, when to hold on, you have to know all that or you'll lose. Imagine the people who had Tesla, Tesla was what, the 9th or 10th greatest company in 2023 in terms of S&P market cap? Now Tesla's down to number 450 or whatever. Who got out of Tesla at the right time? I don't know. Who still has Tesla and has held on to it and is holding on to it because you don't have a team around you who's going to be analyzing this on a daily basis, reading the charts, understanding the earnings reports, understanding the 10 Qs, 10 Ks. So it's a higher risk when you say that I'm just going to invest in the Max 7. It just ain't that simple over a long stretch of time. Sure, right now you want to get some short-term games, 1 year, 2 year game, Max 7. But what about 3 years from now when you have another one that drops way out? What happens when there's a big competitor to NVIDIA that comes in at $80 per share and starts growing in the AI space, just like NVIDIA is growing in the AI space, and NVIDIA is not doing what it's doing? You have to be thinking about all that, right? If you say, I'm just going to invest in the Max 7, right? Somebody says, I'm dollar cost averaging into NVIDIA. Excellent. Good. Perfect, Frank. Let's see. You won't be replaced by AI, but you will be replaced by somebody using AI. Zach, that's a good quote. Could happen. Somebody says, should I buy NVIDIA now or wait for a pullback? Let me say this. This is not investing advice. This is just my opinion. Just my opinion. And my opinion is do your research on NVIDIA. I did a little bit of intro to NVIDIA on this video, but I want you to do some research on NVIDIA. Learn about NVIDIA. What do they do? First of all, I always say this, but I got to say this. It's very important. If you're talking about investing, here's some rules of thumb. Create an investment plan. An investment plan. Create your own investment plan. If you're doing some of this ETF and index investing, 2, be sure you're consistent over a long stretch of time, right? You can jump in and jump out if you want, but it's more risk. Only invest in what you understand. If you don't understand NVIDIA, please don't put your money in NVIDIA. If you do not understand what they do in the AI space, what the data call center is, what they do in the gaming space, what they do with semiconductors, you want to know all this. Now, it's not rocket science. It's just a matter of a little bit of research to understand where they are and what their market share is in these areas. Only invest in what you understand, and always, always, always consider the risk. And there's risk involved with NVIDIA because there's risk with everything when you invest money. Be sure to diversify your investment choices. One person earlier in the chat said, I have ETFs and I only own NVIDIA. Okay, that's okay. But how much of your overall portfolio is in NVIDIA? Now, if you got 95% of your money in an ETF and you got 5% of your money in one stock, not so horrible necessarily, right? But if you got 30% of your portfolio in ETFs and 70% of your portfolio in one stock, big problem. Big problem. So spread it across, diversify things. And I'm a person that reinvests dividends. And be sure that through all of what you see on the news, on the internet, on social media, that you are not panicking when it comes to investing. Very important. Just some rules of thumb that I like to mention because I know we have some folks in here that are new investors. New investors. And new investors have to be careful about FOMO, fear of missing out, or over exuberance. What do they call it? I'm just pulling it up here. Irrational exuberance, right? Irrational. I just want to read what it is. Irrational is exuberance, right? People get all hyped up and emotional. Oh, NVIDIA. Let me go out and get 10 shares in NVIDIA, $10,000. Now, I don't have I don't have a goal or an investment plan. Not sure what the risks are. Haven't listened or read anything off their website. I have not. I don't have an emergency money for my own personal finances. I don't have any of that, but let me go out and get 10 shares of NVIDIA because everybody's talking about it. That's irrational exuberance, right? That's sort of like what irrational exuberance is. Be very careful about that, guys. Let's see. Somebody says, looking at the chart, do you really think there's going to be a pullback? Not anytime soon. And I've heard from some really big investors who are more on the institutional side of investing. And when I say institutional side, I'm talking about large investors that invest billions and billions, not individuals, but insurance companies, right? Hedge funds, the people, the large firms that have billions of dollars to actually invest in the market. I've heard some of those players be very, very bullish on NVIDIA. Bullish, meaning they're very, very gung ho, strong on NVIDIA. Mommy Trader, good to have you guys. Check out her channel on YouTube. If you can, please. Mommy Trader. She's in the chat. She's got a great channel here on YouTube. Please check her out as well. Let's see. If someone in the tech field, it's a good investment, people. We're barely at the beginning of the AI boom, just Mamba, and they're already way out ahead. I just don't know how much more it can grow realistically. Just Mamba, excellent point. I think that NVIDIA has an opportunity to grow as AI grows. Just like a company like, say, Facebook could grow as the internet grew. Just like a company, say like Google could grow, Alphabet could grow as the internet grew, right? Same thing. I think NVIDIA is poised. And I say that because NVIDIA is not a new company. They're not a startup. Even though they're growing like a startup, they've been around for over 30 years. And they've had the same CEO. And I'm sure he has a succession plan and he's got his people in place. The point is that, and he's not very old, right? He doesn't look very old. But the point is that I think NVIDIA is poised as a stable company that's seen tremendous growth that will grow as AI grows. That's my personal opinion, not investing advice, but just to say it. At some point, there's going to be competitors that pull on the coattails and really compete with NVIDIA. But I think the fact that NVIDIA is in many different areas and has big visions, big dreams, and have a really solid. If you look at their earnings reports, look at their 10Q, 10K, very, very solid growth. And I think they understand where they fit in and where they can grow. I think they have a lot of solid things going on with them. So I'm not sure about their growth. We don't know for sure, but I think AI is just like the internet was in, say, what? Give me a year, guys. 2000, 2002. I think AI today is what the internet in 2002. Because here's something to think about, guys. The thing about AI is that AI has the ability to not only just transform our individual stuff that we do, right? We're just individual people, right? There was a point that people say, well, there's not going to be a computer, a laptop in everybody's home. Well, it is now. The reason that AI has such enormous capabilities to grow is because as an industry or a caveat or the reason, not a caveat, an industry, the reason is because its applicability to business, its applicability to the business world. It has application everywhere, not just with us, me and you talking here on the AI thing. No, it has application in business. And what drives America? Business, right? Financially, economically, America's driven by business. What can transform business? Computers, the internet, AI. Computers in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and now internet in the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, AI. 2020s, 2030s, 2040s. So what I'm saying is because of AI has this capabilities in, you name it, semiconductor, gaming, business, it's really the new revolution in terms of business and personal use. So if you're a company that's leading in that space, I think you're going to be in good shape. Mommy Trader said we own NVIDIA as a single stock and via ETFs. Right. So that's, if you own ETFs that have NVIDIA or technology in there, NVIDIA's in there, you own it in two spots, ETF and individual, if you also have it as an individual stock, in which a lot of people do, right? Somebody said buy now before it splits. Frank did. Let's see. I have a very small amount. Good. ETF investor here. Good to have you. Brian, think about what I mentioned. You might want to rewind this back a little bit to what I mentioned about NVIDIA is the reason some individual stock pickers hate ETFs because they point to a stock like NVIDIA that they can really see. See, you couldn't see these huge returns of NVIDIA. You couldn't buy 20 shares of NVIDIA at $3 10 years ago. And you couldn't and then see the gains today. You can't do that if it's stuck in an ETF. Not that level of gains, right? Somebody says they do stock splits so poor people can afford to buy. It's a perception. Now, I totally understand that, Zach. Yeah, there could possibly be a rush after the split. And listen, the rush may mean that this stock goes from, let's say the stock split, it's $1,000 per share. It splits into 10 to 1 stock split. And now each share is worth $100. This stock could go to $200, right? It could double fairly quickly, right? Somebody also says Amazon is going to grow rapidly in like 6 months. I don't know. Mommy Trader said my kids own NVIDIA too. I like that. Nothing wrong with that. Get those kids involved. Absolutely. If you own, okay, so let's see here. I think we talked. If you own partial shares, will you get the benefit? I think you get the benefit from a partial way. Let me actually check something real quick because I want to check something. All right. Give me 1 second. So yeah, you'll get your fractional. I was just checking something. Yeah, you'll get your fractional. You'll be fine. You'll get it split up. Knowledgeable and cool people. Yeah, just Mamba. Absolutely. We always try to have really smart people in the chat and people that are willing to share information. That's really important. Thanks for saying that. That's the trickiest way about the stock picking. When do you sell? That is tricky, Jesse. When do you sell? You don't know when to sell, right, guys? Do me a favor, Mrs. Moore, thank you so much for being on top of that. Hit that thumbs up button for me. If you're getting good information, you enjoy what we're talking about, you think this is important for people to know, hit the like button for me. We should have 300, 400, 500 likes in here, guys. Let's get those likes up for me. I really, really would appreciate it. And feel free to share this live as well with other people. Share the link to it. People that you know are thinking about investing or not sure what a stock split is, etc. Share this information with. Thank you so much for the super chat. Aniz Raja, Smart Money Bro, what would you do personally? Are you going to invest in NVIDIA before it splits? I already own NVIDIA. I already have a little bit of NVIDIA already. And if so, are you going to invest? So me personally, I own NVIDIA. I probably won't buy any more shares before the stock split. I probably won't, right? And I don't own a whole bunch. I just own a little bit, right? I own enough to get a full, I own more than one share, right? I don't own a bunch of shares. I'm not rolling in NVIDIA. But I learned about it a while back and I bought it not long ago. So, or not long ago. Yeah, a little while ago. But the point is that so I already own it. I hope that helped that answers your question. I will probably hold until it splits. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I might buy another share just as I see what happens. We'll see. But that's a good question. Not quite sure what I'm going to do in turn. I know I'm going to hold what I got. Let's see. Well, for me right now, I'm only, and thanks again for that super chat. I appreciate it. Well, for me right now, I'm only been invested for a couple of months, but I will invest in the Mag 7, let it sit for as long as I can, maybe 5 years. Again, D Grant, be careful with the Mag 7. Can you watch the bearish and bullish ratings to figure out when to sell? There's ways to watch. Yes, there is ways to watch. The best thing to do, though, I'm a buy and hold guy. Unless something, that's why I don't own a lot of individual stocks. I'm a buy and hold guy. So I don't typically jump in, jump out, sell. I don't like to play the market like that because I'm just not that good, honestly. I mean, I probably could be good, but I'm just not that good. That's why I don't buy a lot of individual stocks. Philly Pay. I got out of Tesla months ago. It's been in the mud too long. Frank, okay, totally get that, Frank. Somebody said I made money on NVIDIA today. Hopefully that was a call option. Let's see. Ask Chat GPT and tell it to explain to you. Yeah, you can ask Chat GTP almost anything. Our son has done his research on NVIDIA. Congratulations to him. Sounds like he's a poised investor right now, which is awesome. And I'm way behind, guys, trying to catch up. Smart Money Bro, I'm in the tech field, so I do understand semiconductor devices, AI devices. You are correct on keeping up with their stocks. Listen, you may want to do this, and I don't know. I think I mentioned it earlier, but I'm going to mention it again because some folks have just joined in. When you see a stock like NVIDIA doing what it's doing, you would be wise to take a look at right now its competitors. Who are its potential competitors right now? And maybe there's a competitor that is also going to be on the move as well. Because again, these companies that are first, like NVIDIA, they don't tend to stick around and be the last 15, 20 years later. Oftentimes, there's an innovator that comes along, a company that does what they do and competes and ultimately finds a niche, finds something, and actually does better. So you would be wise if you're thinking about NVIDIA, like NVIDIA, to not only look at NVIDIA, but see if there's other companies in the space that you might do some research on as well. Just a little piece of advice. Let's see here. Diversification is key. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit to try to catch up a little bit, guys. Chipotle stock has blown up. I just had some Chipotle today. Had me a burrito, veggie burrito. You said, why do companies like AutoZone or other companies that are priced really high, why don't they do stock splits? Well, it could be a lot of reasons. There's too many to name, but they simply maybe they don't see what NVIDIA sees. Maybe there's some exclusivity they want to keep, etc. I believe NVIDIA is poised to destroy the next two earnings, but not too sure about the third. You're right. Possibly, perhaps. We'll see. But like any individual stock, it's going to have its ebb and flows, right? Let's see. Somebody says, that's what I said at the beginning of the video. Yep. Just Mamba said it. Let's see here. It's pronounced NVIDIA. Yeah. Also crypto AI. Also, don't forget my buddy that I do actually own a tiny bit of also called Ethereum. Just to throw that in, and Ethereum is looking at an ETF, by the way, guys, if you're a crypto person. I'm not a big crypto person, but I did see a story about that. Let's see here. You own the same amount when a stock splits, but it goes up a lot of times because it's perceived as cheaper. It usually when there's a stock split, you're right. You know me. Usually when there's a stock split, that perception causes people to go out and buy, right? And so you do see people typically when you see a stock split, especially a 10-to-1, because of the confidence that it shows that the company has, people kind of get excited. They kind of get hyped, right? They do what I'm doing with this video. They make a video about it. Oh, there's a stock split. Now people kind of get hyped up to go buy it. That happens quite a bit when you see sometimes stock splits, though they're not 10-to-1, but with the growth of NVIDIA and the potential growth of NVIDIA, I do see it happening. And I see shares probably going up a little bit after the split. Absolutely. Somebody says, I own 400 shares of NVIDIA and 300 shares of SMH. When it splits 10-to-1, I'll have 40 board lots. Absolutely. So we got somebody that's in here trading options. Good for you. NVIDIA, do you buy and hold or do you buy and sell? How does it work? I'm a buy and hold. I've had it for a while. I'll probably hold it for a while. I am a buy and hold investor. I'm not a person that gets out here day trades. I don't do options and so forth. I'm thinking about learning options, learning more about options, but I'm doing some options, but I don't do option trading and so forth. Somebody says, been holding NVIDIA since $4. I hope you got more than just one share, C. Griggs. Just imagine if you had 200 shares of NVIDIA and you've been holding it since it was $4. Congratulations to you. You got to look. The name of this video is urgent. NVIDIA is making it easy for people to get rich. Like C. Briggs in the chat. Making it easy for people to get rich because of their growth, because of their stock split. Not that the stock split itself gets you rich, but the exuberance that it causes can help grow the stock after it splits, on the way to splitting, etc. Right? So a split just means, and I think somebody explained it, I think validated, said, what does a split mean? It means if you own one share of NVIDIA today, when they do a 10-to-1 split, now you're going to own 10 shares when that split takes place. You own one share at $1,000 per share. They split the stock up into 10-to-1 split. Now you own 10 shares and the stock price goes to $100 per share. It incentivizes more people to jump in oftentimes, right? Somebody said, I just want to get rich easy. Ain't that easy? Listen, I appreciate you guys being here more than you know. Today was how many? Can you give me a show of hands? How many of you like a 7 o'clock start as opposed to a 4 o'clock start or 4:30 start? How many of you think, hey, once we get rolling and we're talking about something this important, I really like you to start a little bit later because ain't no shows on TV at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time anyway. So I enjoy being able to hear and learn about something in terms of the stock market at a later time, like a 7 p.m. Normally, I go live at about 4:30 p.m. Central Time or 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. Today, I said, let's go at 7 because I'm going to be busy up until then. 7 is good. 7, 7, 7, 7. Listen, what I do on this channel is I try to please my viewers, so to speak. You guys want to see 7? Let's do 7. We can do 7 a little later on Thursdays. We do these shows at twice a week at least, sometimes on Sunday, but we go now 7 p.m. 7 p.m. on Thursdays, and then we'll go again at 11 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. But these are just things, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time and 11 a.m. on Saturday morning Central Standard Time. I could not let this information fester too long without letting you guys having a conversation about it, because I know there's a lot of people that watch my channel that are sort of new investors, and this is something you guys should know about what's going on. If you're invested in NVIDIA, you got to start thinking about, are you going to invest more? Or are you cool where you're at? Or are you going to wait until the stock splits before you grab more at a smaller share, at $100 per share, whatever it may be, right? You got to start thinking about that as an informed, seasoned investor. So I just want to give that information to you. Thank you so much for being here. I like to give shout outs to people. So sometimes people never hear their name on the internet. And I like to say Art of War, Validated, and Anis Raja. Thank you for being here. Xenio Guy, Dwayne Perkins, BM's, I'm not sure how to say it, Mommy Trader. Guys, don't forget to check her out on YouTube. Initial DL, Pam Morrell. Good to have you in here, Pam. Thanks for being here. Namisha, Christian Hughes, WBM, Alvira, Michelle Peterson in the house. 7 p.m. works for me out of California. Lola Lucky, good to have you. Smart Girl NYC, good to have you. Mrs. Moore, I appreciate you more than you know. Thank you so much for being here. And Anis Raja, that's beautiful. I appreciate you saying that. Listen, guys, check out the box below, description box. If you haven't hit that thumbs up, please smash it for me. Appreciate you being here. And listen, as I always say, every video, I end it like this because I mean it like this. The best person who's going to take care of the old you is the young you. Guys, do me a favor. Take good care of yourself and take care of other people. Until the next video, peace.